Hey, how you doing? I am on Monticello Road between Napa and the town of Napa and Lake Berryessa, just past Woodin Valley Road, and I'm between Woodin Valley Road and Kenzo Estate. And I saw as far back as when I came off like Steel Canyon at Muscovite Corners, that it looks like they're setting up for a bicycle event here, which happens quite often. I mean, at least annually, several times a year maybe, where folks do, you can see the incline of the road. I tip my hat and admire a lot of times. I see folks that are riding up some of these really crazy inclines, and it's like, wow, that's impressive. However, you can see how thin the line on the side of the road is, right? You can see it, and you see there's blind curves right here. And so when you come around blind curves, the last thing you'd be expecting is to have multiple bikes stacked out into the lane. But unfortunately, that's what happens a lot of time. Rather than being single file, they'll stack several out and occupy the whole lane. You see how that was a blind curve right there, and you see how fast that lady in front of me was going. There's people that are in a hurry a lot of times here. And look, I can't see around this corner. And you imagine if somebody's gunning it around this corner and this one, and there's somebody in the lane. And I've happened upon this road, and people were out making videos of themselves, doing like selfies, and way out here just completely oblivious to their own safety and the risks that poses to them. And so I love that bike riders come from all over the world to see Napa and Sonoma, but I'm always concerned about their safety. I'm going to start addressing the issues that concern me, that I've been going over with various guests. I've had probably, 1,600. I've done, I think, 1,600 runs since last March. So that could be 4 or 5 people, and each run, it could be 1 or 2, yada yada. But whenever they set up for these events and they do it, I mean, there's no phone signal right here. I'm recording this and then I'll post it later. But bike riders, these are some of the most beautiful roads. I wish I could pan the camera left right now to show you guys how beautiful the overlook is right here. But just keep in mind, I have a video of somebody who had been struck and was like in pain and suffered on the side of the road. You know what? We couldn't get phone signal. There's no phone signal here. There's a call box right here. You see that? But that's few and far between. So if you're struck somewhere, like right here, if you're struck right here, there's nowhere to land a helicopter. So if you're out there on those roads, you have to understand that there's nowhere to land for a helicopter, and you really want to wait 45, 35 minutes just for an ambulance to get you and then take you back. So look, where's a helicopter going to land? Right here. So keep that in mind, that you'll need to be life flighted out if you have life-threatening injuries. You'd have to wait. And so just keep that in mind. And it's going to sound crazy, but you can go on Amazon and buy a little handheld ham radio, program it to local like EMS or whatever, and that would be your best bet right here to carry that, as opposed to depending on a cell phone to call for emergency services if you needed it. The other issue is, do you see street signs right here? No. So many a times I've had to call for EMS or for 911 to help people that have been stuck out here and stranded. And once you have to go to a signal area, then you got to figure out how to navigate them. So there's mile markers out here, and then there's addresses that you can try to give that maybe, that's the problem. Like, well, I passed 290 Monticello Road 5 seconds ago, or that's what you're doing. You're doing your best to give country directions to somebody who may not be familiar with that area. The highway patrol will know these areas up here, but I mean, you got to give them as much detail as you can. So you can imagine if you're sitting there bleeding out and you need EMS, and that's what you have to depend on. So just really think ahead, be vigilant. It's not overthinking it when life and death is the issue. People who have allergies, they carry an EpiPen, they talk to the chef. It's because the consequence is potential death. It's life and death. So we have to exercise caution. Enjoy it. It's beautiful. I respect what y'all do. But please try to respect the road and other folks that have to get to where they got to get to. Sometimes people got to get to school, they got to get to work. Right now it's harvest, so the valley is just, it's moving because they've been waiting, and they got to get those grapes to where they got to pull that, what I call purple gold from the vine. So there's a lot of moving trucks going on. There's all around the valley. I went to go do a mud bath yesterday, and as I was pulling out, there was 12 bikes, roughly 12, and they were just double, triple, quadruply stacked in a tight road. It's the road you take to get to, like, from Calistoga going up to the geyser, where I can't remember what the name of the road is. Very tight. And the people were completely stacked out, just having a conversation, laissez-faire. And I even told them, like, hey, folks, be extra careful. There's a lot going on in the valley. There's trucks moving, and work trucks, and trucks carrying stuff for the grapes. So just be mindful, be cautious. And they looked at me like I was crazy, like, yeah, whatever, but look at the line right here. Look how thin that line is. And I'm not saying that's a bike path, but that's about all you got. Look at right here. And people ride this road on bikes. There'll be a lot of them, and they do events right here. So if there's an event coming up, in light of what just happened, and that's not the only thing that needs to be touched on. I'm going to dip into this whole thing that's been bothering me for a while as to why people are on Silverado Trail going winery to winery and drinking and going up 29 and all that, drinking. It's not legal, and it's just not advisable. I mean, if you're going to go do a picnic, take a break. Do a picnic. But consuming alcohol and then riding bicycles on a road where people are going 55, 65 miles an hour and you're danger close, doesn't take a clairvoyant or a rocket scientist to see the slippery slope that could be. So with what happened, I think it's relevant to talk about it, and people maybe being a little bit complacent with strapping stuff down, which I'm not saying that would happen. What's happened with that person's truck or whatever, who knows? Maybe a strap failed. But let's put 2 straps. Let's put 3 straps. Let's go get some cargo nets. Go to Harbor Freight, which I know that's not very high quality, but hey, some straps and some cargo nets or whatever you got to do. You see my car when I go to the airport, I have multiple straps, a cargo net, all kinds of redundancies, because I don't want to be that individual that causes harm to somebody else. But after seeing what happened over here, I think I'm going to go a step beyond that, because complacency, at least in my life, as I've seen it cost others their life, to include a 4-year-old child. And I did everything I could to prevent that, but nobody was listening. And I'll go through that story too over in Santa Rosa, California, before we move back to Napa.